Well, first of all, I want to thank you both for taking the time to come in and talk to us. I know you've got lots of stuff to do in the next 3.5 weeks, and we very much appreciate you taking, like I said, taking time to come and see us, filling this questionnaire out, and we're going to get into a little bit more depth on some of the questions here over the next 45 minutes or so. Before we get into that, why don't we go around the room and kind of introduce who everybody is. I'm Bill Allen. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Russell Allen, Allen Theaters, and I'm chairman of the board of the Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Brandy Darden. I'm the market manager for Century Bank, and I am treasurer of the board for the Chamber of Commerce.
Michael Stubbs, and president of Stubbs Engineering here in town.
Jake Redfern, I'm a partner with NAI First Valley Commercial Estate Firm here in Las Cruces, and then a division chair for the Government and Issues Affairs Committee for the Chamber of Commerce.
So one of the things that we wanted to do when the chamber decided to get more active in elections, and this is our first go around with this, is to make sure that everything that we're doing is as transparent as possible and as fair as possible. So the questionnaire that you received went through about 3 different iterations of being looked at by staff, the board, and we actually had some folks outside of the board of directors take a look at it to make sure that, number one, the questions that we asked you were fair, and number 2, that the responses that we would receive from you would help us in determining what candidates that we thought that we could go forward with and endorse. So that was kind of the purpose of all of this stuff. And again, so thanks for coming in. No rhyme nor reason to what we're gonna do. Everybody will have something, I'm sure, to ask. And so, and at the end, we'll have a couple questions for you that we'll kind of let you close with, which I think is important. So I think I'll start. A little bit more on why you're running for this office. Doesn't matter. What we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate. So if you go first on this one, then Gina will go first on the next question and kind of go back and forth. So whoever would like to start, go right ahead.
Yeah. I'm running for office because after serving 8 years as city council, it became very apparent to me that on certain issues and so forth, certain parties, certain members of the community, certain stakeholders were not being part of the process. The public has lost confidence in the leadership at City Hall, and that's really what motivated me to run. I'm a strong, firm believer that everyone should be a part of the process. And a lot of those contentious issues, as I said earlier, people were left out, and that bothers me. And I've always taken pride in the fact that I can bring people into the process to create solutions. So I listen, and that's why I'm running for office.
Okay, thank you. Gina?
For myself, it's kind of a little bit about what Miguel said. The reason I'm running for mayor is because I believe that the citizens, the constituents of Las Cruces were tired of their voices and concerns not being addressed or heard, me being one of them as well. It's not something I just woke up, 3 weeks ago and said, I'm going to run for mayor. It's something that especially my older 2 children have heard pretty much their whole life, 12 to about 20 years. I would see the things that were happening and hearing people complain, but nobody would be willing to step up to the plate and do something. So I was like, okay, it's either time to step up or shut up. And so I decided it was time to step up. A lot of the issues that the current city council has addressed are very disturbing. It's like there's 7 people making decisions that affect the rest of that, almost 100,000 of us. And we're up half the foot the bill. So the reason I'm running is because I would like for the people's voice, put the voice back in the people, give them the confidence that, when you get out there and vote, you are putting in there somebody that does care and it does matter. So that is why that I have decided to run for the mayor.
Thank you.
So, obviously, minimum wage was a big issue for us. And Gina, I'm asking you because Miguel was part of the process and he understands how the steps are going in that thing. What is your understanding of what's supposed to be happening with the minimum wage from this point forward?
Well, by 2017, everybody will be making $10 an hour. And to me, not enough research was done you can't just, say, okay, the people of Las Cruces are struggling and need more money to make ends meet. It's like you have to meet with everybody this is gonna affect as well, not only the people that need this extra money. They should have taken a little bit more time, talk to businesses that this is gonna affect, not just one group that seemed to be really influential on their decision that they made. Like I said, I understand, probably most of the people that I know would, really appreciate this extra money, but in talking to several businesses, it hasn't been a win-win situation, and even talking to the people that this is supposed to benefit, they were supposed to benefit from. It's like they go into work and normally they're supposed to work maybe a 5-hour shift. Well, now they're like, you know what, you've worked your 3 hours or your 4 hours, you need to go home. I need to save that extra money so that, to help with that budget. So that's from what I understand the minimum wage.
Okay, so if elected, what direction would you take to address the issues that you described? What do you think you can do or can't do to make it into a reasonable situation where it becomes a win-win like you were talking about?
Well, once again, I think that it's something that we need to do more research on it. You can't, we need to stop it so that more research can be done. How to do that, I don't know how we would have to do that. But it needs to be stopped. And once again, even go to those people that, are already receiving the extra money and say, has this benefited you? In the long run, and look at what else can we do to maybe help these people.
Okay. Miguel, you get elected, what is your process of trying to make this a win-win situation?
Well, as many of you may know, the process is in 2016 it comes before a vote before it increases a second time, which is I believe $9.20 in 2017, and then the $10 in 2019 is how the process is. When it came before the city council, I voted, or I made an amendment that said that there would be a vote before any increase happens. It was a 4-0 vote. The mayor voted against it. And I did that because I knew that businesses were going to be impacted, not just businesses, but the community. Gina's right, we knew that I heard that story, Gina, from a lot of businesses that I went out and I listened to. I conducted some interviews, and like I said, I take a lot of pride that I bring people together. Myself, Councilor Levantino, we asked all 3 chambers to participate in some talks with the proponents for CAFE. One of the things that I grasped in them is that CAFE literally, or the proponents, they were enlightened. They didn't understand what a lot of small businesses go through, and a lot of businesses. So to see that happen, unfortunately, CAFE had another agenda, and that's basically what it was, and they weren't willing to participate in the process. But they made that decision. I do commend the chamber, because the chamber went from a position to no to raise the minimum wage to we want to be a part of the solution. And I really do commend the chamber for that. And so now we're at a point where it's going to come up in 2016 for another review, another vote. With the information I have at hand right now, I can't support that increase. When you have nonprofits, when you have religious groups telling you that it has impacted us and it's going to further impact us, and you start listening to some of the small businesses and their impact in that next second and third phase. So it's something that we're going to have to look very hard at and gather as much information as possible. But as of today, I couldn't support another increase.
Next.
Sure. Oh, go
You
ahead.
want
Go ahead.
Okay. So the grocery receipts tax is another big issue for the business community, and it's been televised and in the papers a lot about how much surplus revenue that's gonna generate, and there's some talk as far as what to do with that, but I think the next administration is gonna play a big role in that. I'd be interested to hear what your vision is for that surplus revenue generated from the increase in grocery receipts tax.
Well, first of all, I have a problem with the fact that increase happened with very minimal public input. There was, yes, the city went around and had community meetings, but it was a one-way dialogue. And I purposely sat at the back of the room, listened to the persons. There were comments that this is a done deal. You guys have already made a decision. There was very minimal public input. And that is one reason why I voted no, because I really felt it should have gone in front of the voters. The second reason I voted no was because it was not earmarked for any projects. We don't tax just to tax. I just don't agree with that. And so when you're taxing taxing the community just to tax, I've had colleagues up on the dais say that it's a discretionary fund. Well, that's one heck of a discretionary fund. I believe in total it's going to be 120 million to cover a $9 million shortfall. That's quite a bit of a discretionary fund. So that's the first part of the gross receipt tax that I had difficulty with. Now we're looking at a situation where we have bonded $28 million during the life of the GRT. $2 million of the $6 million of the $8 million received annually will go to pay for the bond. So that leaves $6 million to spend. That's undecided. We don't know. We have decaying infrastructure in the city. We've been talking about economic development. Those are items that I could support in the future. Yet at the same time, if the council and the mayor of the council, whether it be community involvement or speaking with other stakeholders, if we can't decide upon it, I think it should, I really feel strongly, maybe we should consider going back out to the taxpayers and potentially take it back off and give it back to the taxpayers and recirculate the money within the community.
And I'm sorry, would you just restate the question?
In short, what would be your plans for using the surplus tax revenue coming off the increase for the GRT?
Well, once again, I mean, my big belief is putting the voice back to see what the people have to say. And I think we need to go back to the constituents and the citizens of Las Cruces and see what the needs are. Like Miguel said, a lot of what I've been doing, like mini surveys, and everybody that I talk to, I'm like, what do you see? People are like, infrastructure, do you see our roads? It's like, I had one gentleman come in the other day, he's not originally from here, but he sent a picture to his friends, and he said, take a picture of downtown Las Cruces, and he said they couldn't tell the difference between downtown Baghdad. And I'm like, that's pretty sad. You know, I'm like, there's a lot that the city needs, but we're not listening to the people that they're out there every day. You know, the mayor can't get out to every bit of town every day or whatever it may be, but there's people out there that can tell you, we need roads. We need, we were at a meeting on Saturday, and one of the big concerns is they needed a stoplight over where they're at. They said every day that we get out to cross this road, it's basically putting your hands in your life. I mean, your life in your hands. They said, and they contacted somebody down at City Hall, and the comment was, until somebody gets killed, there's nothing we can do about it. I don't think that's the way that we need to do things. Once again, we need to listen to everybody and just hear what everybody has to say. There are a lot of very smart people here in Las Cruces that have a lot of really good ideas. But I think probably one of the big things would be first thing, infrastructure.
Thank you.
Okay. Both of you have lived in the community for some time, so this is kind of a different question. A three-part question probably. What do you like about Las Cruces? What do you dislike about Las Cruces? And if you're elected mayor, what is the one most important thing that you would like to see changed in our community?
So I guess I'm first, right? Okay. The thing that I like about Las Cruces is the people. To me, city is not a place, it's people. We have a lot of people, even newcomers that are coming in, they're like, this is a really nice town you have here. So the thing that I like about Las Cruces is the people. Probably the thing that I do not like about Las Cruces is the way that our city government and our management is being run. It's more, I mean, it's a harsh word, but it's more of a dictatorship. It's not in the best interest of the community, and the community is the people. One thing that I would like to see changed, I'm sorry, was that the last question?
Yes, ma'am.
One thing that I would like to see change is we need to focus on our youth. That's our future. You see these kids, and you know, already coming from Las Cruces, I think they're at a disadvantage. And if we're not investing in our future, then we're in trouble. So I think that's what I would really like to see. I would like to see that we focus on the youth, and that would include jobs or, I mean, you know, different things for kids to do. I mean, like I was telling at the meeting the other day, I was like, I have 3 children, they're all adults, I'm not worried about my kids, but I'm worried about other people's children because that is my future if I plan on being here.
Say that again, Red. What I like about the city?
What do you like about Las Cruces? What do you dislike? And if you were elected, what is the one most important thing that you would like to change in our community?
Definitely our culture. We have a beautiful culture in the Mesilla Valley, and not just culture in terms of ethnicity, but culture in terms of the story of Mesilla Valley. What is our story? I mean, this Mesilla Valley was built on innovation. If you look and you go back, and our story is how a person had the vision and the idea to dam a river and build an entire industry, ag industry in this area. The story goes back to where you had a farmer who thought about planting pecan trees in the middle of cotton trees and built an entire industry. And I feel very strong that that culture of innovation is still here, and it continues, and that's what's gonna help us define what I call the new Mesilla Valley, which I'm looking forward to and I wanna be a part of. And that's what I wanna be a part of as the mayor. What I don't like is, there is definitely the red tape, the relationship between government or the bureaucracy that we have. We can be much more business friendly, and we need to be much more business friendly. That is definitely places hindrances or obstacles in terms of new companies coming in. And so we have to change that environment and that attitude at City Hall. What changes I would make? We need to promote ourselves more, you know. We live 40 miles away from 1.8 million people. You know, that's the same population equal to the entire state of New Mexico. You know, we need to promote our city there, become part of the regional economic development, and also promote ourselves on a much more regional and wide and global spectrum. So we have a lot to offer, and that's what I would like to change more.
You guys we talked a little bit about GRT a second ago. I was looking at both your guys' responses on the written part of it, and it was probably the shortest answer that both you guys give, so I'd be interested to have you guys expand as far as maybe some other viable sources of future revenue for the city that you guys see fit, and maybe expand upon what you guys put here in the written responses.
Question number, I'm sorry.
It's number 5 on page, let's see, page number here. Let's see.
GRT.
5,
Public policy number 2.
Revenue question.
revenue
Second
question.
from
Says,
the
what do you
last
think the
page.
most viable source of future revenue is for the city?
Well, I think, Jake, being fiscal responsible agents of your tax dollars, I don't think it's government's responsibility to be a revenue generator, you know? We should be facilitating, not regulating. And I've always firmly believed that if government is making a profit, then we're being overtaxed. Something's wrong with that picture, you know? We need to get back to the basics, you know? Streets, roads, fire and safety, you know, providing the infrastructure needed, be facilitators to help new businesses begin. Those are the basics. I think we should stick to those basics. But when government enters that realm of we want to be generating profits, I have a problem with that, and I've always had a problem with that. So I think we should just get back to the basics, and that's where the GRT question comes in. You know, we passed a tax with nothing in mind. We just, you know, it was not earmarked, as I mentioned earlier. So I've had a problem with that from the very beginning.
Gina?
Okay, and I'm sorry, you were asking what is the most valuable source of
What's the most viable
finance
source of future
revenue?
revenue for the city?
It's definitely businesses. We need to get businesses in here. Having businesses is going to definitely create more money in the economy, giving more jobs to people. So we need to get businesses, reputable businesses, not just, you know, any business that decides, hey, we want to come to Las Cruces. We want good, reliable, reputable business that will be in here for the long haul and will have the best interest of the community. Yeah, we need to get businesses in here. We need to get money going through here.
Got something, Bill?
Go right ahead.
Walmart.
Hmm.
What's your thought about the situation that happened with the zoning? What do you feel is the government's role? Just Walmart.
We were
Go.
okay. We were actually part of getting petitions signed to stop the city from allowing Walmart to coming in. The reason that we were doing that is because 7 Walmart entities in one city. I mean, this is what we're trying to tell people. We have wonderful jobs for you. Come work at Walmart. We've heard people. It's like, well, how come we don't have a Costco? Well, how come we don't have Dave & Buster's? How come we don't have? It's like, why are we just so focused on Walmart? Right away, that got us thinking, and as well as a lot of people that we were talking to, is what's Walmart giving them that we want another Walmart? Walmart is a company that's not known for their reputation for actually taking care of their employees. So it's like, why would we want, if we want better for our community and our people, why would we bring another Walmart in? Not that I'm against Walmart, I love Walmart, I like to shop there. But, you know, 7 entities, that's a bit much. If we want to expand our horizons, it's like, let's bring other companies in that can give them a little bit of run for their money, so that people do have a choice. Walmarts are known that, you know what, they come in and shut people down. And we know that, and yet we wanted to allow another entity to come in. So I didn't think it was a very good idea. And I was grateful that they were able to, you know, it was kind of harsh the way that, because unfortunately now by them changing that nothing else can build there. You know, that was kind of harsh on the gentleman, but if, yeah, like I told people, if this is a way that we need to speak our voice to be heard, I said, this is what we were able to accomplish, so.
Okay, yeah.
The Walmart, had a vote on the Walmart. I voted no for the Walmart, and the reason I voted no is for safety issues. Traffic is a big area I was representative of the precinct or the district right next to where that was going to be located, and we've had difficulties with traffic in that area for many, many years. As mentioned on the dais, or what I stated on the dais, was we need to fix the process. We need to have certain elements in place prior to votes like that, like traffic studies. So that was the main reason that I voted no for it. However, and as was pointed out, if other stores had come in, whether it be a Costco or something else, maybe it'd have been more received or not, I would have still voted no because of the safety issues. So until we get the certain processes in place, addressed and fixed, then it's going to be difficult to do large infill projects like that in the inner city.
Let me take Walmart from a different perspective. What kind of message do you think that the city voting no on Walmart sent to other businesses that might consider Las Cruces?
Again, as I mentioned, it depends on where we site the projects. I mean, and we have many development areas in the city that a large business of that size could locate. The Walmart up on Rinconada in that area. I mean, there's plenty of space there where they can build a double super Walmart if they wanted to, that they can receive the traffic. The city can be planned out as needed to accommodate a business like that.
And as Miguel said, I mean, and I did focus on, because when we got to go up there and talk, we were originally told we had 7 minutes. By the time it came time to talk, we had 3 minutes to say, this is what I have to say. So my focus did turn on, you know, that as a small business, we weren't really worried that it was going to hurt us, but we were concerned for the other stores as Family Dollar, Dollar General. And being the size of Walmart that they did want to put in there, that was, if you go and look at their mission statement, that is their goal, is to compete with those. Well, we know Walmart is to shut down. So one of the things too, I think if another company comes in and they do the research, they're going to see that one of the main factors was safety. Being that they kept saying that they could expand to Shiro. There's no place to expand to Shiro. There's the Field of Dreams there, there's the baseball park, there's the soccer park. So yeah, so somebody that is looking to come in, I could see that they're like, oh, they're not very business friendly. But that wasn't the actual thing where it came down to, is that it was the safety and with the traffic with Mayfield. So I would hope that if a company is looking to come in, that they wouldn't look at, oh, they're not business friendly. You know, it was these 3 businesses or whatever that stood up. No, it was the majority of the people that did go, they spoke about safety. All the people that did go to the meeting, that was most of their comments, was it was a safety.
Okay.
Partly off that. Doing business a lot in southern New Mexico, Las Cruces' reputation for being business friendly is probably less than most of the neighboring communities. As mayor, how would you tackle that problem and make some changes to our overall reputation?
Well, we didn't need to look at the process. An example was, we were a small business trying to come in, and it took us almost 2 years. I know there's I's to dot and T's to cross, but we need to look at the process that they do to get businesses in here. And make it a little bit, you know, a little bit easier. Somebody was suggesting, you know, giving incentives. The city that we're at, there's no incentives to be giving. We need to look at what is in the best interest of the city. But I think that the process downtown could be a little bit easier to encourage those businesses that do want to come in. When you're opening a business, you don't have 2 years to piddle around. You need to go in there and make money, especially if you already have this building that you're paying on. So we need to make the process a little bit easier.
We definitely did reverse that perspective that we are and business friendly. And I understand when I'm talking to businesses like that we do have that image, which is unfortunate. But I think if we formed a business advisory group of stakeholders in this community, a community, a business liaison or an ombudsman at the city to help businesses go walk through the process, you know, from point A to B, to where you're not taking 2 years or 4 years or however much long of time. We need to expedite the process and help businesses come to fruition much sooner than the present, time that is allowed.
Thank you.
So, obviously, we're the Chamber of Commerce and we're concerned about our viability and the purpose that we serve. What is your belief, the purpose that the local Chamber of Commerce, us and the other chambers of commerce, what is our role in Las Cruces? What do you believe our role in Las Cruces is?
Well, I think it's a partnership, it's a collaborative partnership with the city and other entities such as yours, the Hispanic, the Green Chamber, Home Builders, other entities in the town to promote business in this community. The big discussion is, again, jobs, economic development. We can't have a productive discussion if we're going to exclude the local business community, whether you're a member of the chamber or whether you're not a member of the chamber. Everyone needs to be a part of the process. And again, as I mentioned, during the minimum wage discussion, I went out and I heard from persons who were not chamber members. And I made it a point to go out and listen to their needs and how it's going to affect them. So I think the role of the chamber is one where you assist and collaborate in advocating the great city that we are and that we can be.
And for me, the chamber, to me, it's being a liaison, help cushion, help bring these businesses in, but at the same time, looking at what is in the best interest of the community. You don't want to just take any business that wants to come in and say, oh, they need to open up a business, let's help them get in there. As a chamber, I believe that you guys are looking for businesses that are going to come in and be reliable, sustainable, and in the best interest of the community.
Well, we talked a little bit about GRT and a few other things that affect businesses and our reputation as a business-friendly community. What are your guys' feelings on impact fees? And if there is one, what is a reasonable alternative would you propose to impact fees? It's number 3 under the City of Las Cruces Public Policy section.
Once again, I know that, and there's been a lot of discussion on impact fees, and especially like the contractors feel like, they're having to face the blunt of everything. I think it's, once again, we need to look at, hear what they have to say. Why do they think that they're the ones that are being picked on and having to pay the more expensive for whatever? So once again, it's just sitting down and having that open door policy where people can come in and say, look, this is how we feel, this is how it's affecting us. And then at the same time, you're gonna have these other people and say, but look, this is, if we do not have these impact fees or whatever it may be, we need to find a happy medium that, is a little bit easy on both parties. Make each party a little bit more responsible. But once again, I think that comes down to not having that open door policy where you actually have to hear what both sides of the story have to say. We have one side just saying, we need these impact fees because, but yet we don't really have the other side of the story that says, but why? This is, there's other options. And looking at some of the stuff on NewMexicoPolitics.com, there's examples there that people say, how come we don't do this, or why don't? So there's a lot of ideas out there to help with those impact fees.
Jake, that's one of those issues, again, that I did listen to the community, and I went out and I visited with the contractors, I visited with realtors, I visited with persons that were moving to this area. I voted no. That came in front of the council in 2011, and I voted no. And the reason I voted no is because it was unfair, not just to the building industry, but also the residents. In all my time on since being elected in 2007, that was the worst piece of legislation that we passed, that I feel that we passed during that time frame. And I say it because it was not fair. The way that it was designed is if let's say you built a house on the furthest east, on the most eastern part of the city, and were applied an impact fee, you may never ever see a road in front of your house because the impact fee may be used to pave a road on Porter or in another area. So it was unfair to residents and future residents that you would be paying an impact fee that you would never benefit from. And so after it was passed on a 5-2 vote. I was one of the 2 no votes. I went to work to get it reversed. And it took me an entire year to do that. And I even went out and I collaborated, and I grabbed one of my colleagues, Counselor Sorg. He was a big proponent of the impact fees when they first came forth. I was able to convince him that it was not a good piece of legislation. And over the time of an entire year, we convinced the entire council who supported impact fees to reverse their decision because they were able to finally understand that it was not a very good piece of legislation.
Okay, so obviously, this questionnaire and stuff has a lot to do with our interests of how things that you would do as mayor would affect the business community. But we also know, because we've talked about quality of life and those kind of things, and we're concerned about that as well. So there's a lot of issues that come before the city council that have nothing to do with business issues. And these are things that have got to, that you're gonna have to make decisions on as mayor, where you're gonna put it in the agenda and how you're gonna handle it, how much time you're gonna allow to go to it. And so, this is my curveball. Last week on the front page of the Las Cruces Bulletin, we're talking about feral cats. And this is an issue that has been discussed far more many hours in the city council than business issues. Minimum wage, for example. I mean, double, 3 times the amount of time has been spent on that. Some would say, have different words than spent. Where do you feel those issues fit in with the overall business that the city council needs to do? And how would you handle it as mayor?
There are some topics, and if you want, if feral cats was your example, I think you do go out and listen to the public, but I think at some point you have to say, okay, we've gathered enough evidence, make a decision, and move forward. And to me, it is that simple. And that is one of those that has dragged on more than 2 years. So at some point, you can gather as much information, you can gather information, but it's, okay, we've gathered enough, it's time to make a decision. So I'd be much more directive in saying, we're gonna make a decision on this and move forward. And we know we're not going to please everybody. You're never gonna get 100% agreement on something. So those are one of those tough decisions, or you make those tough decisions and you move forward.
For me, I would think that would be one of those examples that just the way that the decision was made on minimum wage and the GRT, very fast and simple, same thing. And we guys said, you're gonna have people that are gonna be happy about it and people that are not happy about it. Not to say that's less important, but in some situations, that would probably be one of the least important versus a minimum wage or a gross receipts tax. So once again, this is what we gotta do and make a decision and do it.
Okay. This isn't in the questionnaire directly, but as mayor, when you would be looking at agenda items, much like what Russell just asked, what kind of information would you want to make sure that you had before you would ever bring an item up and place it on the agenda for consideration from the council? You both have mentioned bringing people together, getting the people's perspective on things. What kind of package would you need to have in front of you to feel comfortable bringing it in front of the city councilors for a vote?
I would think as much possible much information as you possibly can. All that we know that is available out there, not just the bare minimum. I mean, we need to have as much information and do what it takes to get all the information that we can before we present that.
Okay.
And nothing hidden, nothing. I mean, just this is the way it is, like it or not. This is the information that we have.
We don't marginalize or exclude opposite perspectives. And that's what I've always tried to strive for. And also, there are times when staff will present something and all we get is staff's perspective. So I've always made it a point to go out there and find that information needed and get as much needed from, again, both sides. And by having both sides of the story, I'm able to come to a better position and make a decision.
Okay.
I I'd be a little interested in how you see the city's relationship with Movida progressing. As I'm sure you're aware that, you know, the city pays a large portion of Movida's budget and has their own economic development office. Do you see changes necessary there with that relationship, or do you want to continue the way it's been progressing?
I feel that that relationship needs to be defined more. What role is each entity playing in the pipeline, the sales pipeline of bringing businesses into the community? Obviously, we need an entity like Movida, because Movida is out there. What I look at it from a perspective, they're catching the large pool of fish and bringing them into the pipeline so that it can be worked. And I think at some point, the baton has to be passed from one entity to the other. And at some point, someone at the city has to finally, make the agreements, whether it be a tax incentive or whether it be a land lease. But that has to be done at the city level with the city manager. And so it's a process of collaboration where we pass the baton and where we all we all win in the long run.
And I would agree with Miguel. I mean, we need to have a little bit more information and, before we continue to move on with that.
I think you have your closing question.
Question, Russell.
My
Or are
closing
you gonna
question.
surprise us too?
I forgot my closing question. What's my closing question?
Or did we already ask?
No,
this
we
closing
haven't.
question?
Okay, I'll ask it.
That's what I thought.
I know the
He
Ben.
keeps jumping around on us, and we never know.
Yeah, he's kind of tricky like that. Real simple. Why should the chamber endorse you?
Chamber should endorse me because I feel, again, if we're going to have a productive discussion on economic development in Las Cruces, whether it's assisting mom and pop businesses or recruiting other businesses to come to this area, the Greater Chamber has to be a collaborative partner in the process. The city has to reach across the aisle as well, and my experience is being a representative from the city with the chamber board is some of those relationships have been built. I'd like to strengthen those relationships and make not only the Greater Chamber, but all the other chambers a working group that's built on a very firm relationship in recruiting and building local businesses and the economy.
And for me, how I had stated here is a lot of the mission statements and the thoughts that you have and the feelings that I have. Being mayor is just sustaining the economy, promoting the community, and serving the leading voice. The 60 years, the track record that you have, the experience, that would be something that, since we do have the same thoughts and the same missions, that would be something that would also support me and my beliefs, is your thoughts, your mission statement.
Okay.
Is that the question?
That was it.
All right, well, I don't think we got anything
Should I
else?
explain the
No, we have
process?
not.
Oh, Bill's good. Sorry, Bill.
No.
You're writing and I'm
It's okay.
jumping the gun.
So, first of all, thank you very much for coming in. We really, really appreciate it, gaining some more insight into both of you. So here's how the rest of this is gonna go from the chamber's perspective. This group is gonna get together, whether they know it or not, immediately after you guys leave, to talk about the mayoral race and the 3 district races. They're gonna come to some conclusions. I'm just gonna help facilitate that. Then it will go in front of the board of directors. And when we can get that in front of the board of directors, they will either take the recommendation of this group or make some changes. And at that point, we will formally endorse people for each of the different spots. And we'll let you know as soon as we get to that point. I think this group has heard almost all the candidates. Unfortunately, Mayor Miyagishima was unable to make it today. We realize what an effort it is for you guys to do this. And we want to thank you very much for putting yourselves out there in front of the public. It's not easy. So thank you very much for your willingness to serve. Thanks for responding to us in such a short time frame. And other than that, wish you both the best of luck. Look forward to working with you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.